So Tomb Raider comes to us. It came out yesterday, as of this recording.
That's right.
March 14th, 2018. On a budget of $94 million, which is pretty comparable to what the earlier movies cost.
Okay.
So it's pretty frugal in terms of movies of this sort of size.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is smart, because there's no way this movie is going to be like an out-of-the-box hit.
Right.
Signs already point to Black Panther beating it this weekend.
Oh, really?
People
Okay.
keep thinking that Black Panther is going to move down to number 2, and it's not happening.
Yeah. Yeah, wow.
It just moved into the top 20 all-time highest grossers,
Right.
and it beat out fucking... What was the big release last week? Wrinkle in Time.
Oh, yeah.
Beat out Wrinkle in Time. It's going to beat Tomb Raider this week, but Tomb Raider's probably going to make in the neighborhood of $25 million.
Wait, 20? Okay, because it's already made $33 million.
What?
Yeah.
Tomb Raider?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
I'm looking at it right now, man. Box Office Mojo.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, then
Sure.
then it's
it's been open since Thursday.
Okay,
so,
then it's
yeah.
outperforming expectations, which is nice. I'm happy for the Tomb Raider.
Sure.
Okay. Roar Uthaug is our director, and we've got a bunch of writing credits here because, of course, we do, because it's a big Hollywood movie. Story by Geneva Robertson Dworet, and she also has a screenplay credit. She is new to me. She also is going to be writing the upcoming Marvel Captain Marvel film.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So they're high on her.
Okay.
Evan Dougherty also has a story credit. He's been sort of a script doctor these last 10 years or something. He's responsible for Snow White and the Huntsman, the first Divergent movie, and the Michael Bay Ninja Turtles.
Right, I see that. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's a highfalutin guy.
Right. He's just got a story credit, though. The script is written by Geneva Robertson Dworet, who we mentioned, and Alastair Siddons, who I really know nothing about.
All right.
And
I would assume he's British.
Yeah, me too. Like everybody in this fucking movie.
Right. Alistair. Yes.
So this is just a straight reboot of Tomb Raider. We're gonna do the origin story, which is interesting.
It's based on the 2013 video game.
That's right. There was a reboot of the video game franchise back in 2013. They stopped doing the numbering and just called that video game Tomb Raider. And I remember that video game coming out. It was quite a hit on social media.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
People who care about that sort of thing really liked that game.
All right.
So there you have it. Here it is. Tomb Raider. Tell me about going to see it.
Not as exciting or adventurous or scary as going to buy tickets for Death Wish or 50 Shades Freed. No real adventures. I saw it on Thursday night. Very boring story to go along with my experience. But what was yours like? I don't want to get into what I thought of the movie yet, so go ahead.
I saw it yesterday. It was the third movie of the day for me.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
You're a mountain lion.
That's right. And I'll tell you what those other movies were right now when I unveil for you, Henry.
Yes.
I realized that I have now seen 10 films that have come out in 2018.
That's incredible, man.
So I've ranked them.
Oh, my.
So here it is, my
great.
very preliminary 2018 top 10 list.
Love it. We haven't even done 2017 yet. I love it.
Are you ready for my list, Henry?
I'm ready.
Number 10. 50 Shades Freed. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Number 9. The Cloverfield Paradox.
Ooh, boy.
Holy shit, was that bad?
Yeah, it was bad.
You know,
It was
and
bad.
we'll cover the Cloverfield franchise someday, and I'm
Yeah.
going to have to watch that piece of shit again.
Yeah.
Like-
Yeah. Yep.
All right, number 8. Death Wish.
Okay.
Okay. All right, I guess I'll just say it right now. Number 7. I have here Tomb Raider.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. Okay.
Number 6. A Futile and Stupid Gesture.
That's the National Lampoon thing?
Yep, the National Lampoon biopic starring Will Forte, directed by David Wayne.
Okay.
Number 5, I have Game Night.
All right. All right.
All right. Number 4. This is the first film that I saw yesterday. Thoroughbreds.
Oh yeah, that's the girl from The Witch and Split.
Yeah, Anya Taylor-Joy and
Yeah.
Olivia Cook, and they want to kill her stepdad, who is played by that guy Paul Sparks, who was in Boardwalk Empire and House of Cards, and most recently Waco.
Oh,
Yeah.
Maybe if I saw him, I'd know him.
It's
Okay,
actor.
good movie.
He's the giggler. He's the giggler in Boardwalk Empire.
I'm sorry, I thought there's the Gigglers in Death Wish. So
I
didn't
wasn't
know.
making a Death Wish 3 reference.
Oh,
I mean, I
okay,
kind
okay.
of was.
Okay.
Yeah, Thoroughbreds, very good.
All right.
Number 3, Black Panther.
Oh, all right. Number 3. Okay.
It's a heavy hitter.
Well, I thought it'd be higher, but okay.
Hey, listen, I saw
It
some
could
great
be.
movies.
All right.
Number 2, Annihilation.
I actually plan on seeing that today.
Oh, good. Okay, I'm excited to hear your thoughts.
So you saw it? Yeah. I mean, I'm a big Alex Garland fan, unlike you. So.
What do you mean?
Well, he wrote 28 Days Later, he wrote Sunshine, and he wrote and directed Ex Machina, and I love all three of
Well,
those
I'm
movies.
a fan of Alex Garland, director.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
so
Okay,
Ex
so
Machina
2 for
is
2.
great. He's 2 for 2 as a director, although
All right.
some say that he ghost directed that Judge Dredd movie with Carl Urban.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And my number 1 film of 2018 is this little indie movie called Flower that I watched yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
Listen, it's great. It's produced by David Gordon Green and Jody Hill and Danny McBride.
Ooh,
It's
love that.
Yeah, but the filmmaker I wasn't familiar with. Most of the actors in it I wasn't familiar with, although Tim Heidecker and Catherine Hahn have roles.
Oh, that's fun.
And Adam
Okay.
Scott shows up.
Oh, all right.
But it's mostly a teen cast, and they're all fucking perfectly cast and great, and I loved it.
Oh, Flower.
Check it
All
out.
right.
Big recommend. Flower. So
All
after
right.
I saw
All right.
Flower, I snuck right there into Tomb Raider.
Okay.
Sat in the back
All right.
row
So-
and enjoyed myself. What trailers did you see, Henry?
I saw Deadpool 2.
Me too. Can't escape it.
Can't escape it. I saw Venom.
Me too. Good Lord. That Venom movie's coming out soon. And they clearly don't have finished special effects.
Exactly, and they need to come up with another trailer because I mean they're not showing Venom or anything, and I mean it
And
it
at
doesn't.
the end of the movie, at the end of the trailer, it just says V, not Venom. Like they
Yeah.
expect like casual people to know what Venom is.
I had the exact same thought. I thought that was ridiculous. I'm like, yeah, I know what this is, but who the fuck else does if you're not, a nerd?
Are they afraid to call it Venom because people will think like, oh, really? That fucking character? What is this? Is Topher
Maybe.
Grace in this fucking thing?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
What else did I see? I don't know. What did you see? It might help jog my memory.
Well, I wrote all of mine down. I saw Ready Player One. We talked about it. I saw Rampage, the new movie starring The Rock.
Right, I saw that too.
That shit
Yeah.
looks great.
No, but okay. Yeah.
He's hanging out with a monkey, fighting monsters.
They called George. I remember when I saw that for something else we had to go see. And I thought when they first started the trailer and he calls the George, I thought it was a George of the Jungle.
I kind
reboot.
of did too.
So there you go.
Yeah. Deadpool 2. Listen, I watched a trailer for a film called Uncle Drew.
Okay.
Have you seen this?
I don't think so.
It is a comedy entirely starring NBA players in old age makeup.
Oh, I did see that when I saw something else. I don't remember
it's
what.
Like
yeah.
Shaquille O'Neal's one of them. But
right.
And it's got Lil Rel from Get Out in it. He's like the only non-basketball player.
Yes. Oh,
that
boy.
looks like one of the worst movies ever made.
Yes, it does. Indeed.
Okay,
Indeed.
then Venom. Then it's a movie called Breaking In.
I saw that. Yeah.
That looks like it's like a thriller, and it's coming out on Mother's Day because it's about like some kids getting trapped in this house, and the mother's got to break in and save them. I think it's Gabrielle Union.
Looks awful. Oh,
yeah,
God.
but I might see it.
How many times have we seen the fucking movie where they present it as though the family's threatened, but then the mother turns the tables? You know?
Yeah.
Like,
It reminded
Jesus
me
Christ.
of that movie Enough.
Me too. The
Yeah.
J-Lo thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jennifer Lopez has had enough.
God.
Yeah,
I've had enough.
And I love that at the end of the trailer it said, "From the guys who brought you Obsessed." And I was like, really? That's the movie that you're getting people excited about? All right. I did see Obsessed and loved it.
So did I.
But,
yeah.
oh, well. And finally, I cannot escape this trailer. I've seen it 100 times. The fucking horror movie that's directed by John Krasinski.
Yes.
A Quiet Place.
Yeah, I saw that.
That baby could go either way.
Yeah, true. I'm intrigued.
Mm-hmm.
It could be like it comes at night type of deal, or not, which wasn't that great. But
I didn't see it.
I saw it in theaters. It was good. It was good.
Yeah, I thought of like Don't Breathe or
a lower budget. Don't Breathe. Yeah.
Okay, Tomb Raider. Let's get to it.
Let's do that. Yeah.
So
all right.
We start with about 5 minutes of exposition about a Japanese possible demon named Himiko who's trapped in a tomb on an island, and I am snoring.
But it's not that long of an exposition. It's like you said. It's pretty short.
It felt like forever.
Cut to the chase pretty quick. Literally.
Yeah.
Croft,
right. That's
delivery
true.
girl. Yeah.
Well, first we see her in a boxing ring.
Yeah.
It's like Lara Croft. She's now, I think she's playing younger than Jolie was playing in the originals, even though Alicia Vikander is older than Angelina Jolie was when they made those movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but it's clearly an origin story. That's pretty.
Very much an origin story. She is kickboxing and training, and we see her tap out.
Right.
So, like, she doesn't have all the fighting skills yet, and which lends a nice air to the movie because it really does feel like Lara could run into some trouble.
Yes.
Whereas, like, Angelina Jolie just seemed fucking invincible. In those
yeah,
movies.
exactly. Right. Yeah.
So there's like a bunch of... It's one of those movies where like every 10 minutes there's an action sequence. So, but for like the first act of the movie, there's really nothing at stake. So we keep having to have just like rando action sequences for no reason. And they're well shot and they're exciting.
They are very well shot.
Yeah, but they just don't matter to the plot at all. There's that one where like she's playing like a cat and mouse game with those
for money.
Yeah.
She has refused to accept her inheritance because she does not want to acknowledge that her father is dead. So she does not have money. So that's ergo her not being be able to afford her gym membership and working for a delivery food delivery.
Yeah, she's working
food.
as a courier.
Right.
And that dude who works there wants to bone her.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So
but yeah,
does this
she
bike
does
race
this
for
bike
some money.
race. Yeah, and it's an exciting bike chase.
I actually thought it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, and then she goes to her family's offices, like the Croft Tower.
Right. Yeah,
And
for sure.
There's only like 2 people on the board of this company. It's Kristen Scott Thomas from Henry's favorite movie, The English Patient.
That's right.
Henry's jerked it to her like 4 or 5 times in his life. And then,
really, Jill, can I say something about The English Patient? Real
Sure.
quick? I always wished that the roles in that movie would have been reversed and Juliette Binoche would have gotten the part that Kristen Scott Thomas played.
Well,
And Kristen Scott Thomas played the nurse instead.
I guess The English Patient couldn't be perfect, Henry.
No, but I still love it. But anyway, yes, go ahead.
So she's on the board, and then there's this British guy. Henry, this British guy is so fucking British. He's this white-haired guy.
He's red-faced.
I couldn't take this guy to the point, Henry.
It's Derek Jacobi, man.
Who's that?
Are you kidding?
No.
You didn't know who that was?
No.
Dude, it's fucking like one of the most legendary British actors of all time.
What's
That's why they
doing
got him.
in this movie?
What they all do, you know. They couldn't get Ian McKellen or Ian Holmes, so they got Derek Jacobi. Yeah, instantly I knew who was. He's a big theater actor, but in terms of like, he's like in all of Branagh's Shakespeare movies.
Sure.
You know, he's one of them guys, but you know who he is.
I really don't.
Well,
Derek
look him
Jacobi.
up. You should look him up, and
He's in Gladiator. He's in Underworld Evolution. Gosford Park. Oh, he's in Murder on the Orient Express. I just watched that. I guess he is pals with Branagh, huh?
Made a lot of British TV. Yeah. I'm surprised you didn't know who he was.
I don't know. Yeah. Not familiar. Okay, so he's in there, and I had a laughing fit in this movie. Okay? I'm cutting all the way to the end of the movie, but I have to tell you about this just while we're talking about this guy. He made me laugh because he had a line reading that reminded me of the British Film Institute theme song.
Really?
Yeah. Now, for the listeners, can you please play the British Film Institute theme song?
Yeah, I'll bring it up.
Okay.
Are you going to tell me the line first?
I will tell you after.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
And the British Film Institute.
Okay, so near the end of this movie, he gives Laura a binder, and he says, "This is a list of all our assets." And
wow.
I lost my mind for the rest of the movie. I mean, there were only like 5 minutes left, but I could not stop laughing.
Wow.
Wow. I was like annoying people around me.
Was it partially because you were wondering whether I actually had contacted Derek Jacobi to do the actual recording?
No, it was just, I mean, your British Film Institute is the epitome of just like dumb British just stereotype.
Right.
And that's what this was.
Sure.
It was incredible.
That's great. I love that you actually thought it. Never occurred to me once watching that. Okay. Yeah.
So while she's in this boardroom, she's handed this ancient Japanese puzzle.
Yeah.
Okay? And she figures it out in like 4 seconds.
Right.
And there's a key in there, and it leads her to a tomb. So I got to tell you, Henry.
Yeah.
We're 20 minutes into this movie. We're raiding some tombs.
You're damn right we are.
I'm into it.
But we're raiding a mausoleum, right?
That's right. It's her dad's mausoleum.
McNulty,
yeah, the great Jimmy McNulty from The Wire. Dominic West doing his native accent.
Yes, thank God.
Yeah, nice to hear.
I love Jimmy McNulty. He's one of my favorite characters of all time. I love Dominic West, and it's great to see him.
Great to see him. And frankly, at one point, because Walton Goggins plays the villain in this movie, and he is one of my favorite actors.
Me too.
He's Boyd Crowder from Justified. Raylan. Hi, Raylan. And he's Shane Vendrell from The Shield. And he was on Vice Principals. And
who's he on Vice Principal? What's his name?
I don't remember.
Oh, he's fucking genius on that show.
Yeah, he's so good. And I fucking love this guy. So he's the villain. And then finally, like, at the beginning of the third act of this movie, we get like a scene, and it's just like Walton Goggins and Dominic West facing off.
Mm-hmm.
And I am into it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. Coming a little early.
What, that Dominic West isn't dead?
No.
Oh, what do you got?
I really like this movie. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep.
I can tell, Henry. You understand that I can tell when you really like a movie.
Sure. Absolutely. I was on board. I went in not giving a shit either way. I had nothing against it, nor anything for it. Maybe a little thing for it because of how bad the original two were.
Well, that's one thing. I'm tempted to overrate this movie.
Me too.
Because it is just so in another league from those first two.
It really, really is. But, I mean, I was watching it. I was completely invested. I was never bored. I loved the choreography of the action scenes, the direction. I even liked the score. I thought it was cool. I loved Alicia Vikander. I thought she was great.
Well, that was what I knew going into the movie.
Yeah.
I knew she'd be great. I knew Walton Goggins would be great, but the director was an unknown for me.
Right.
The writers are unknowns. I mean, it's a movie. It's a franchise where they've done two pieces of shit.
Yeah.
And but not that I ever felt like there could never be a good Tomb Raider movie. It's just gender swapped Indiana Jones. Like,
well,
it shouldn't be that hard.
I might have thought that after the first two, but I mean, I felt like watching this was like leaping from Die Another Day into Casino Royale, or like Batman Forever into Batman Begins. Like it just
Batman and Robin into Batman Begins.
Right? Yeah. But I picked specifically for. Yeah, like it really just completely different tone. It's like, I don't know if I would say it's realistic, but it's realistic as a Bond movie. I mean, it's it doesn't even really go into the suit. I mean, it flirts with the supernatural.
Well,
but it never really goes there.
It implies that it's going to be a supernatural menace at the end of the movie. And then it subverts that expectation by turning it into a plague, which is
I love that.
Much more grounded. Sure, I was going to say realistic, but grounded's the word. And I thought that was surprising in a welcome way.
Me too.
And look, it's not a perfect movie. The third act of this movie is just traps. It's just them going into traps and figuring them out and going on to the next one.
Well, if I had problems with the movie, they were pretty much twofold. One was it's too long.
Yep, 2 hours long. Doesn't need to be.
It's absolutely and that's one of Dan's bigger things than it is for me. Always has been, but for me, this really did. I was like, oh man, this could have been a 95-minute movie.
Yep.
Perfect. The other thing for me that I was disappointed in, the Walton Goggins usage of him, underused.
I agree. He got a couple of great moments, like that first scene.
The first scene, right?
He's because he just gets to monologue a bit, and he's menacing and fucking skin crawlingly great.
Yes,
and that was nice to see. Look, I'm not going to complain too much because it's honestly the best role I've seen Walton Goggins get in a movie. I mean, I guess
really?
Hateful Eight.
Hateful Eight. He's great in Predators. He has a lot more to do in Predators.
But in Predators, someone watched Justified and they're like, do the Justified thing. In this, he's like actually given a character.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was just lovely to see Walton Goggins get to hang out with that guy. in this movie.
Yeah. No, for sure.
And
but
the cast is peppered with good little actors.
Really is.
There's so Daniel Wu is sort of her drunken sidekick, and
I thought that guy was great.
he's really good. Are you familiar with him?
No.
I mean, he's a big star over there in Japan. And like that's partly why he's in this movie. I think you mean
China, but
shit, I do. Fuck, I suck at that. But he's here to like get the Chinese audience because that's a big audience.
Yeah.
But he's also here because he's really good, and I've seen him in a few
excellent.
things. He's in my favorite film of 2017, Geostorm.
He's very funny.
Yeah.
He's very charming. He's great.
Really good comic timing. He actually has chemistry with Alicia Vikander.
He really does.
Like he flirts with her a little bit. He wants to go raiding. He wants to go.
Go ahead.
He wants to go raiding her womb.
There you go. Womb Raider.
Womb Raider.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted them to fuck.
So did I.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would have been pretty cool too to have that, interracial romance of that type because you don't see that a lot. If ever.
Yeah. The male Asian and a
Never.
white female. You don't see that often. The only time you ever see that is Paul Correa, the hockey player.
Okay.
He has an Asian dad and a white mom. But I really like that guy, and I'll tell you what. If I liked this movie less, Henry, I'd give my MVP to Nick Frost, the great Nick Frost from Spaced and Shaun of the Dead. All those he's Simon Pegg's comic partner, and he has 2 scenes in this movie as a pawn shop owner, and he made me laugh out loud in both of them.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. And it's funny because that type of scene with that type of humor can be really dead in the water if it's not delivered correctly.
And really out of place in a movie like this.
Exactly. And it works.
Totally works.
Yep. Very funny. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
that, and I just want to say that I think my favorite action sequence in the movie was when she falls down the waterfall and lands on that hanging onto that old airplane.
Yep.
Man, is that good?
There's a lot of that.
Damn.
It's a movie that's really just a series of maladies for most of the movie. Starting with her getting her backpack stolen at the dock, which is a pretty unnecessary action sequence, but is at least kind of fun.
It's good, well done. Yeah.
And then she goes on the boat with Daniel Wu's character, and the boat crashes. It's a big storm. Roar Utaug thinks he's doing the Wave 2 or something.
Right.
And then they get on the island. She has to escape. And she jumps in the river, and there's the airplane thing. It's just like a series of obstacles for her to overcome. But I will say, my favorite action sequence in the movie, and honestly, it's the first sequence in any of these fucking movies that reminded me of playing a Tomb Raider game.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Was when she nicks that bow and arrow. And she's just sort of like stealthily going around that camp with the bow and arrow, trying not to be noticed.
Yeah.
And then she finally is, and she just like shoots a guy in the heart with the bow and arrow. I thought the level of tension in that scene was fucking great. It didn't cut too much. Like Alicia Vikander was like perfect. You like genuinely worried about this basically superhero, which is hard to get me to do in a movie like this.
Yes.
And And Walton Goggins is good in that sequence as like an obstacle.
I think your point about it not cutting too much is very astute, because that's really a lot of credit to the director. He's real good at that. Like a lot of during even the foot chases and the airplane sequence that I like so much, that could have easily in the wrong hands just been insufferable.
Well,
but
there's a through
not.
line. It's an underrated thing in movies when action is really easy to follow.
Yes.
I like when action doesn't feel overly chaotic and there's a through line. You can follow the action from point to point to point. And that's a thing that this fucking Tomb Raider movie does really well. And look, I'm not going to sit here and praise this movie to the fucking high heavens. I'm giving it a 3.
I'm giving it a 4.
I knew you would. Yeah. But it just so outdid my expectations.
Me too.
All right?
Me too, man. Yeah, for sure.
There's a little too much just ridiculous exposition. It didn't seem to bother you, but I wrote down here you have to follow what all of these things are. The Devil's Sea, the Chasm of Souls, the Trials of Himiko, and the Order of Trinity.
Yeah, but they make it very simple, though.
Know,
it doesn't pull like a national.
Nonsense.
It doesn't pull. No, of course it's nonsense. Yeah. But it doesn't pull a national treasure. Where you're just like, what the fuck is going on?
I will say parts of this movie very strongly reminded me of National Treasure.
Well, it popped in my head too.
Well, you know how when we did National Treasure, I talked about how everything in the world just has like a pulley system, and if you like pull the right lever, you can get a thing to open to another thing.
Oh yes,
that's all this movie was.
It has that for sure. Yeah, definitely.
And one of my big problems with this movie is like, so Walton Goggins is trying to get into Himiko's tomb, who's this like ancient, I think Japanese. Am I wrong?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Woman, and you have to go through the trials of Himiko to get to her, and they haven't even been able to get her tomb open. And so Dominic West is trapped on this island. He knows how to do it. Lara Croft finds him, and to save him, gets the tomb open for Walton Goggins. But there are so many travails once they enter into this tomb, from like a huge chasm that you have to cross on a rickety ladder to this crazy thing where
Indiana Jonesy.
Yeah, this crazy thing where the floor starts collapsing between them and they have to solve a puzzle while this is going on, and it's a weird color puzzle. And then they have to, what are some of the other things? There's like just like spikes falling from the sky and shit. A guy gets like impaled through the dick at one point.
Right. You know what's funny when you talk about all that? When I was watching that one scene where the floor's falling and she's like hanging on trying to solve the puzzle, I kept marveling not at them being able to like hang on tight for dear life. I kept being amazed that every time any of the characters toss her one of the stones, it's a perfect toss and she catches it immaculately.
Yeah, it's amazing. She's fucking Yogi Berra.
Yeah, I was just gonna say she's a regular Keith Hernandez there, man. It's incredible. She just perfect throw, perfect catch every time.
Yeah.
Nothing dropped.
It's ridiculous. But my point is, like, Lara is the one that figures out all of this shit. And, like, they can't even get the fucking thing open. So, like, why not just open the tomb for Walton Goggins and company and just let them try and get to Himiko? They'll probably die somewhere along the way.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he needs her, right? Goggins kind of needs West with him all the way up until they get all through these travails. He says he needs him, but you're right, they really don't, because she ends up doing all the solving. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, good point.
It's a little silly.
Yeah, for sure. It's a lot silly.
So they get to Himiko. Himiko's got this horrible plague, and so like everyone who touches her ends up getting it, and they die. And she has a pretty cool fight with Walton Goggins where he does like Die Hard Fall down.
Yeah.
it's,
Definitely.
it's a real Hans Gruber situation. And,
yeah. Oh yeah.
And then there's a lot about sacrifice in this movie, so it ends with Dominic West sacrificing himself to save the world or whatever.
Right.
And she gets.
But I like the. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go on.
I was just gonna say I liked that. Also, we find out because you're told in that origin story, which normally I think both you and me would. Who gives a shit? But I liked the twist that we think the whole time, right, that this Himiko queen was taken and marched away by her generals so she couldn't kill her. But then we learn she actually entombed herself because she was the carrier of this plague.
Right.
So she sacrificed her life to not infect everybody else with this plague. I thought that was a neat.
Yeah, she's not in there.
She's not evil.
All these traps aren't preventing people from coming in. They're preventing people from leaving.
Right.
Yeah. It's cute. It's a cute twist. And so she gets out of that island, goes back, inherits her wealth.
Yes.
And there's a really obligatory sequel set up where you find out that Kristen Scott Thomas has been evil this entire time.
Right.
And Laura now has a list of members of the Order of Trinity. Right. Who are people that want to get in touch with the supernatural. And so you can make as many of these fucking movies as you want just with her razzling the Order of Trinity.
Yeah, and there was something I guess for the fanboys.
The guns.
Yeah, the fucking guns. Which only reminded me of how fucking cool the movie was in that she never fires a gun once.
Dude, and
or maybe at the end.
I didn't even realize until she goes back to Nick Frost's pawn shop at the end of the movie.
Right.
And Nick Frost is showing her this cool ass gun and shit. And she looks at it and she thinks it's cool too, and she goes, "I'll take 2." And that was fun because Laura always carries 2 guns in the fucking video game. Right. And and I did not realize until that moment that we had never seen her with a gun.
I did. It had occurred to me just because it was just such a thing in the first 2 movies that she's constantly wielding these 2 guns. I was like, oh, this is interesting. They're not using the gun. And I never thought we'd even get to it, so I was pretty happy. And then, of course, we have to. But
whatever. It's a fanboy thing. It's fine.
It's fine.
I weirdly, despite myself, did get a charge out of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really care. I mean, it was fine. It didn't offend me or anything. I mean, but, it was whatever it was. It was cooler just to have her go back to the pawn shop again, so it's fine.
Yeah.
They didn't linger on it. So, yeah. All right.
So, you're giving Tomb Raider a 4.
I am.
Who knew?
I am. Yeah, I'm giving it a 4-star because it's better than a 3-star movie to me. It's definitely not a 5, but I had a real good time. I would watch it again. I would.
I would too. I listen, now that we've covered those Jolie Tomb Raiders for the podcast, you will never catch me dead rewatching those fucking movies.
Oh, that's good to hear. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was there already, but I agree with you. You had said if you had to, you would watch the first one again, but no need. No,
now there's a good Tomb Raider movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who's your MVP?
And you know what? I kind of hope they make another one.
You know what? I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'd see it.
I want to see another one.
I'd see it. We're full of surprises, listeners.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. What'd you say, Henry? What, MVP?
Yeah, MVP, LVP.
You gotta give it to that Vikander. I mean, and you can easily give it to Walton Goggins or Dominic West or as I said, Nick Frost. Or the director.
Or the director. Yeah, I'm giving it to her too, though. I'm giving it to Alicia. But yeah, you could give it to the director. He was really going to be my other one. But
I mean, she's turning into one of my favorite actresses.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about it. I mean, I've only seen her in a couple of things. Ex Machina, The Light Between Oceans. She's phenomenal.
Very
in that.
underrated movie.
Yeah. Oh, very underrated.
Recommended to our listeners. The Light Between
Highly
Oceans. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on my top 10 of that year. But she's great. She's really, really great. And my LVP in this is actually going to be a character, not the actor, but Willem Godden's character, Matthias Vogel. I could have used him to be in more, written more. That was a mistake of the movie to me.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say my LVP is just the boardroom.
Derek Jacobi
Derek Jacobi and Kristen Scott Thomas. Anytime we were in that boardroom, I was not interested.
Yeah.
Anytime we were in that whole building, there was that scene where she walks in and like the
guard,
the guard doesn't know her, and she says, "My name's Lara Croft," and he's like, "Oh, Croft! Wow!"
Right.
Shut up.
Yeah, I agree. I
didn't need any of that shit. So
Nope.
I'll go with that whole section of the movie.
All right. Ranking.
Oh, I mean, to me, it's one of our easiest rankings. It's this one, Cradle of Life, the original.
For me, it's this one, the original, and then Cradle of Life.
God, that's
But
a
not
little
by
bit
much.
surprising to me. That original, so
You know that. I
fucking-
said that last week.
That original is so bad.
But so is the sequel, dude. I mean, they're equally bad.
They're not. They're not. You know. You
Look,
know
man.
what? The first one's worse, but it is 20 minutes shorter than the second one. You have
There
to
you
give
go.
it that.
It's 20 minutes shorter. I got Daniel Craig saying Lara 39 all the time. That helps.
Yeah, but
You
in the
got-
second one, you got Gerard the Butler.
Oh, that's true. That's true.